I feel like all day on Sunday, watching Burnes and the way the Brewers aren't putting up runs and building our hope up that this might be something special. I think they were just setting us up for a one huge sea of heartbreak. And that's what happened at Yankee Stadium. We'll tell you about that. We got to move on to the Miami Marlins. Marlins in town, huge series with them. All that coming up next here on this edition of Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, everybody. Come on, did you really think the Brewers were going to win that game? When Chafin came in the 11th inning, I was like, oh boy. Well, I like that trade when it first happened. I can't stand it now. No, I don't. I mean, he's to a point where he's become the left-handed Matt Bush in this team. Hi, everybody. Chuck Freeman here at Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. We're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about the series coming to the Marlins because we got to turn the page and move ahead. But it's great having you aboard. It was a terrific weekend, taking 2 or 3 from the Yankees. So, again, we're going to get to all that. Joining me here on Locked On Brewers, longtime sportscaster here in the state of Wisconsin, first-year host of Locked On Brewers, and a very much an honor. We've been doing this for several months, well over half a year now since the beginning of the season. And, our downloads have increased. Google, Spotify, Apple, you find me on all the downloads on this episode, on all our episodes, Monday through Friday. And, of course, on YouTube. Go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, and hit that like button. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. I started this thing at about 1,000 or so. We've worked it up to about nearly 2,000, which is pretty good for a small market, to be honest with you. We're growing, and then we're not going to stop there. We're going to keep growing and growing and growing, and that's what I love about this. And it takes you great fans, the greatest baseball fans out there, who continue to support this team. You guys were with me. You weren't watching the NFL on Sunday. You were watching Burnesy potentially having baseball history. The Brewers potentially getting into baseball history. How could you not watch them? How can you? I don't care the Packer game started. The Brewers, hey, we're trying to get this team into the postseason. I know it's a football state, but you guys know, hey, we're trying to get this team when it's a pennant race. It's still Milwaukee Brewers state, the state of Wisconsin, and you great fans all around the world. Follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Hey, the Brewers took 2 or 3 from the Yankees this weekend. They survived rain delays in all 3 games. How about that? Rain and we had beautiful weekends in Wisconsin. We had a beautiful weekend in Wisconsin. They got all the rain. I mean, it was like I put the TV on Saturday afternoon. It's a beautiful 75-degree day in Wisconsin, New York. It's like flooding. It's like, what the heck? But they did get all 3 games in. And the Brewers, they took 2. In the big picture, they took 2 or 3 from the Yankees. But as we all know, man, it hurts to lose a game like that. And I feel like we were being set up all day because Burnes was out there cranking away. Looked like he was going to be a part of a second no-hitter in Brewer history. The first no-hitter to potentially go 11 innings. There's never been an 11-inning no-hitter in Major League Baseball. In fact, there's only a handful of Brewers who've ever taken a no-hitter through 8 innings. We're going to tell you about that a little bit later on as well. But 11th inning comes on. The Brewers take a 3-1 lead. 3-1 lead. This I guarantee you this has never happened in Major League Baseball, where a team throws no-hit baseball through 10, takes a 2-run lead in the 11th, and goes on to lose the game. But, hey, the Milwaukee Brewers have a history of just stabbing us right in the heart. They do. Well, at least it's still a 3-game lead on the Cubs. The Cubs did win, but he was doing so good. Burnes could not scratch out any runs for him. 3 hits the Brewers could get off the Yankee staff over 8 innings. One of those games, neither team, they were going back and forth. And you've seen this before in baseball, where both pitchers get into a rhythm and offenses just can't dent the scoreboard. And then finally the Brewers did. They take a 3-1 lead. And then Stanton hits that home run, that 2-run blast off Chafin. And reading Chafin's quotes after the game, he said he put the pitch in a bad spot. No kidding. Because the one thing that Giancarlo Stanton is doing out there is trying to hit home runs. He ain't worried about playing defense. He ain't worried about taking the extra base. He's worried about getting his legs healthy and making it through the season. Probably if he had his own way, he wouldn't be playing right now. Okay? He probably shouldn't be playing if he's hurt that bad. But he drove one just about 5-10 feet over Weimer's glove, tied the game. And our hearts were broken because he had a chance to get a 3-game sweep in New York and couldn't do it. Just like you had a chance a week ago earlier, you had a lead on the Phillies and couldn't hold them down with Wade Miley on the hill. But this one I'll blame on the offense. And Chafin, they could have gone to Chafin or they could have gone to Hobie Milner, according to counsel, and they went to Chafin. Why would you go to a guy you can't trust? There's a reason why Chafin has been buried in a bullpen. Yeah, you went out and got him in a deal. And I thought at the time, yeah, they went out and got this left-hander from Arizona. They got him for a song. Well, a veteran pitcher, yeah, we know why they got him for a song. Because he ain't any good. And Hobie Milner should have been in there getting outs and sending this to a 3-game sweep. And then Milner did give up that run in the next inning, but I want to go down with my guys. Milner has been one of my prime time. He's not part of the big three, but he's certainly in that circle of guys who I want to pitch out of the bullpen. Chafin ain't one of those guys. How do you pitch Chafin? Counsel said you want to save Chafin for the Marlins series. Want to save him for the Marlins series. You know how that always goes? You save a guy for a series, and you don't end up using him. You don't use him. September, let's win this game right now. Let's win this game. Worry about the Marlins tomorrow. If you got to pitch Chafin on Monday, okay. But I want to win this game right now. And I know Hobie Milner wanted to give it up a 3-run homer and throwing it in Giancarlo Stanton's wheelhouse. I know that for a fact. And if we went down with Milner giving up a 2-run jack there, then at least we went down with one of the guys we've trusted all year long. But we haven't trusted Andrew Chafin. There's a reason. Again, he's the Matt Bush. He's the left-handed Matt Bush. My goodness. Or they could have used Vieira too. That's what happens at extra innings. You know that. That's what we're down to. But I would have loved to have seen Hobie coming into that game. Hung a slider. And that was pretty much it. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Good to have you along here on a late Sunday night. And if you're driving around, joining us on a Monday morning, thank you, everybody, for joining us on Locked On Brewers. You everydayers out there who follow us on all the apps, all the downloads, Google, Spotify, Amazon, we're on all the major ones. Set your alerts so you make sure you get this the first thing in the morning. And, of course, go to YouTube. Some of you guys watch us on YouTube. Hit Locked On Brewers in the subscribe button. Go to Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe, and hit that bell there. Find us on YouTube and help us get to 2,000. Yeah, that was just a tough loss. Yeah, it took me a little while. Some losses are a little tough to gather. And the Packers beating the Bears did not make this day feel any better. No, it didn't. And I love the Packers, but it did not make me feel any better about the Brewers losing 4-3 in New York. And Burnes, they have a shot at baseball. The Brewers in general, because Burnes came out of that game and Uribe and Williams did their work in 9 and 10. Piams gave up the hit. But this is on Chafin. All right. Let's talk about Gametime. Gametime is a great way. If you're going to the Marlins series this weekend, hit up Gametime. Gametime is going to put you in the right direction as far as getting tickets for this game, for any games coming up. Gametime is the way to work. Gametime is the best app out there for getting tickets to games. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful. Man, you can get tickets for sports, music, comedy, theater. We have a ton of that coming up here in the fall in the great state of Wisconsin. Tickets on Gametime. Killer deals, last-minute tickets. I get last-minute tickets on there all the time, especially for Sunday games. When I take my 12-year-old, they have the best price guaranteed. So you can stop stressing over the tickets and start getting hyped for the fun. Get them at the last seconds. You get image seats of the seat views, images of the seat views, lowest price guaranteed, easy to find, buy tickets. It's really a couple of clicks and you're good to go. Buy the tickets in a matter of seconds. You're all set. Tickets are sent directly to your phone. You'll never have to dig through all your emails or anything like that. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to get $20 off your first purchase when you use that promo code LOCKEDONMLB. $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem LOCKEDONMLB. You're going to go to the games this weekend against Washington, or maybe some of the games against Miami this weekend. The Cubs are playing Colorado. Or maybe if you're in Colorado watching this and you want to go to see the Cubs play, by all means, go to the Gametime app, download it, use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. When we return, we'll get into this series. We'll get about how dreadful the offense was on Sunday. An injury update for Corbin Burnes. He was injured in that game. We'll talk about that. And this big series coming up, the Marlins, and how Corbin Burnes is an elite. We already know he's an elite pitcher, but an elite category in Brewer history. Put him in that position today, Sunday, out at Yankee Stadium. We'll get to that coming up next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, your host. Thank you all you everydayers out there for joining me. Everydayers, that's what we call them on the Locked On Podcast Network, but on Locked On Brewers here. Those who download this episode, follow us every day. Follow me on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Download our episodes. We're the #1 Brewer podcast on the internet for a reason. It's because of you great fans out there. How about Tyrone Taylor with the clutch gene? RBI base hit today. The home run on Saturday. Last homestand, he had a jack. Tyrone Taylor has been coming up clutch. As bad as his batting average looks, he's had some big hits here in the last couple of months of the season. Tyrone Taylor, very good. Now, do I want him out there on a regular basis? Probably not, but he's been coming up clutch. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Man, and how about the catch that Frelick made to preserve this no-hitter? Was at the 10th inning. The base is loaded, and I made a diving catch, ran into Weimer out there, but all for naught. One note, Pitchers and Pitchers on Twitter account, Pitchers and Pitchers. He called it the most Brewers loss of all time. I had to chuckle on that. I had to give him credit. Most Brewers loss of all time. In other words, the Brewers invent ways to lose sometimes. And he said, this might be it. My gosh, you throw a no-hitter. Oh, throw a no-hitter through 10 innings and you can't win the game. No-hitter through 10 innings. You can't win the game. Mike Vasallo, the media relations director for the Milwaukee Brewers. Terrific at his job. And terrific on putting little tidbits on Twitter. You got to follow him on Twitter, Mike Vasallo. Only 4 pitchers have taken a no-hitter through 8 innings. Juan Nieves, who pitched the no-hitter, the first Brewer no-hitter in 1987. Jim Slayton in 1981 took a no-hitter through 8. That was up in Minnesota, as I recall. That was on his Twitter account. Odell Jones in 1988. Odell Jones took a no-hitter through 8 1/3 at Cleveland. He was a guy, like a 35, 36-year-old pitcher. The Brewers needed a starter. Odell Jones made the start. I think they called him up from AAA. He was at the end of his career. He was like a played the Mariners and just a journeyman type pitcher. Odell Jones took a no-hitter into the ninth inning, and Ron Washington, who the former Rangers manager, Ron Washington, with a base hit to break up the no-hitter in the bottom of the ninth inning. Otherwise, Odell Jones would have had the second no-hitter in Brewer history, because the year before that, Nieves did it in Baltimore. Odell Jones, remember that was Memorial Day weekend. It was down in Lake Geneva, just home from college. We were down in Lake Geneva watching this game at a bar down there, and life was good. Not that life isn't good right now, but man, we were watching Odell Jones at Cleveland, and Cleveland was just terrible back then. And this is back when they played the Municipal Stadium. Nobody was going to the games. And Odell Jones had it going on. And then Burnes put himself in elite category by becoming the first pitcher in Brewer history to do it twice, take a no-hitter past 8 innings of no-hit ball. So Burnes has pitched 8 innings of no-hit ball back when he had that combined no-hitter in 2021 with Josh Hader. Today got a no decision. So Burnes has taken a no-hitter through 8 innings twice. Jim Slayton once in 1981. Nieves with his no-hitter in 1987. Odell Jones in 1988. That's some elite company right there. Boy, only 4 pitchers have done that. When do you think in the 54-year history, more pitchers would have taken no-hitters through 8? God, that just seems... I would have guessed that number would have been a little larger than that, but I guess not. Seen Nolan Ryan take a no-hitter into the ninth inning at the old County Stadium. I want to say that was 1989. I want to say he did that. It was broken up by Robin Yount. Yeah. I remember when Terry Francona was with the Brewers, the Cleveland manager. Somebody had a no-hitter through into the 8th inning. And I might have been Teddy Higuera and Terry Francona, of all people, who played at the Brewers. Left-handed stick, broke up the no-hitter. All right, Marlins coming up. We're going to get to the Marlins coming up, but still, Burnesy today. God, you'd like to get a win for that guy. Just frustrating. This show is brought to you in part by Sleeper. Hey, the NFL is underway. The MLB is in full stride here in September. When I say full stride, the September races, which we all love. The MLB playoffs are around the corner, which means the clock is ticking on your chance to 100 times your cash on daily fantasy baseball. Baseball's never been more exciting than it is right now, with players like Acuna, Betts, Ohtani. Pick more or less on stats for stars like this or anybody you want in Major League Baseball. They have so many different categories: home runs, hits, strikeouts. You could parlay up to 8 players for just a mega payout on Sleeper. Get your picks right, and you could win big. Some friends of mine got the app. A week ago Saturday, I had one. I picked like 5 players and won. And here, use the promo code Locked On. You'll get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for detail. But get the Sleeper. SLEEPER. Get the Sleeper. As you see the graphics right there on YouTube, use that promo code up to $100 match, and you could win big in daily fantasy baseball. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. All right, coming up, got a big series with the Marlins. Big series for both teams. Both teams. We'll get to this series coming up that starts Monday night at AmFam Field. First of all, thank you everybody for joining me on Locked On Brewers. As always, follow me along on Twitter, Chuck Freeman, FREIMUND. Download our podcast. Set the alerts on Google, Spotify, Apple, Amazon. We're in all the major apps that download podcasts. Just search Locked On Brewers. We're there. And of course, go to YouTube. We're there as well. Go to search Locked On Brewers. Hit the subscribe button. Hit that like. You're going to get alerted every time we drop an episode, Monday through Friday here on Locked On Brewers. Sometimes we drop these late at night. So you like late nighters can watch them. The podcast, the audio podcast, drop it around 3 o'clock in the morning, to be honest with you. So I put the YouTube one out there, and then the other one gets edited down right around 3 a.m. to get sent out. So, all right, we'll come back and talk about this Marlins series next here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman here. Locked On Brewers, and the Brewers and Marlins open up a 4-game set at AmFam Field. Catch every pitch of the Brewers' hometown broadcast, Sirius XM, the SXM app. Search Brewers 710 in a first of 4 with the Marlins at AmFam Field. You get it on Sirius XM. And the great thing about Sirius XM and the SXM app is, like, if you're going to the game on Monday night, the Cubs, or we got an eye on the Cubs because they're 3 games behind the Brewers. The Cubs play at 8:40 Central Time. So by the time you roll out, it's got to flip on Sirius XM and hear the Cubs broadcast and see if the Rockies can take care of business this week against the Cubs. All right. Now the Marlins are coming in here with a 4-game set. They're in the running for a wild card spot. They're looking at that 3rd wild card spot right now. They're trying to get in. The Brewers and Marlins play 7 times in the last 19 games. Marlins have 19 games left. They play the Brewers 7 of those 19. They'll play 4 games this week at AmFam Field and 3 games a week from this weekend in Miami. Huge. 7 games for both teams. But the Marlins are on a roll. They've won 8 of 10. In like the last 4 days, they've had pitchers take no-hitters into 6th and 7th innings. Sunday, the Phillies, Suarez was dealing out there. The guy who pitched against the Brewers last Sunday. And he was dealing against these guys. And the Phillies had a lead, and the Marlins rallied. Despite getting no hit through 6 innings, the Marlins rallied, and they got a huge win. They're all excited in Miami because the Canes won, the Dolphins won, and the Marlins won. The Canes won Saturday night. The Marlins won Sunday and have been playing great baseball. And the Dolphins beat the Chargers, so they're flying high in Miami. But, hey, this is the Brewers' time. This is the Brewers' time. They're trying to get in. They've set the pitchers. They got one of their pitchers named for this series. I looked and I saw Monday's pitcher is Jesus Luzardo. He's the guy who pitched well in his last start against the Dodgers, went 6 innings on 4 hits. He's going to go up against Woodruff on Monday. On Tuesday, Freddie Peralta is going to pitch against TBA. Wednesday, it's TBA versus TBA, and there's a pretty good likelihood that Hauser's going to be activated for that game. So we'll probably see Hauser on Wednesday. I would guess that it's going to be his start, barring any setbacks. And then Thursday's pitchers have not been announced. The guy to contain on the Marlins is Uribe. Their second baseman has been playing some first base as well. He did sit out on Sunday. He had played like 28 straight games, started to wear down a little bit. He's a former batting champ in the American League with the Twins, and Uribe can play. Hitting around 340, I want to say. Good player. He'll be back in the lineup, no doubt, on Monday, unless there was a reason why he sat out that they're not telling us. But he did sit out of Sunday's game, and it was probably because he played, like I said, 28 straight games, needed a blow. But the Marlins are right there. They're playing some good baseball, and they are in the hunt for a wild card spot, along with everybody else. San Francisco, Arizona, the Cubs, they're all, Cincinnati, they're all there. It's going to be a wild stretch. But the Marlins have been winning close games. They're 30-12 in 1-run games. So they've been getting it done. You know, the Marlins are no slouch. This is not going to be a easy series by any means. They never are. Sunday, I think the Yankees have nothing to play for. They stuck around, winning extra innings. And, you know, their pitchers did the Yankees pitchers did a nice job in this, in that series. The previous 2 games, man, the Brewers I thought Friday and Saturday, they had the bats going. Sunday, the bats died off. Got to pick it back up against the Marlins. Can't go through one of those stretches, especially in this upcoming series. All right, that's going to do it. for the show today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Again, Brewers and Marlins in a first of 3 against the Marlins. It'll be Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday night games at 7:10. And then Thursday will be an afternoon game, 1:10. All the games on Sirius XM, the SXM, search Brewers, and you'll get all 162 on Sirius XM of Brewers baseball. All right, thanks, everybody, for joining us. As I mentioned, thanks for making us your first listen to every day. Yeah, that was a gut punch. Yeah, there's no doubt it was a gut punch. That was a frustrating loss. Frustrating on Sunday. It was. To have your pitchers pitch no-hit baseball through 10 innings, man, that's painful. That's a painful one to lose, just like it was earlier in the week. Those heartbreakers to the Pirates, losing 2 or 3 there. But at least the Brewers went 3-3 on this road trip. Okay, they went 3-3. They played 500 baseball on the road trip, but they could have went to, a season high 18 games over the 500 mark had they won that game on Sunday. Nonetheless, hey, I'll take where they are. They got a 3-game lead. We know this is going to go down to the end, and this is the Brewers' division to lose because they're going to win this division. We'll talk to you all after the game on Monday night. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. So long, everybody.